I grew up in the kind of rural place where you could ride your bike for miles without seeing another soul. A place where the silence was so thick it felt like its own presence, wrapping around you like a second skin. Out there, you could sit alone in a field for hours and hear nothing but the crickets, the rustle of the grass, and the occasional bark of a far-off dog. To most people, that would sound boring, but to me, it was magic. Like a lot of people, my favorite season was always summer. It still is, though it's been years since I lived in the country, and in the city summer doesn't feel the same. The heat is still there, of course, but the charm, the quiet, and the space and the strange kind of freedom is gone. Back then, summer meant endless evenings that seemed to stretch forever. It meant biking until my legs ached, lying in the grass until my hair smelled like earth, and feeling like I had the entire world to myself. I loved that isolation, that privacy, the sense that I could disappear and no one would even notice. And summer nights, those were the best of all. The air was warm but gentle, the sky endless, and the darkness so complete that it felt like it belonged only to me. I was 16 the summer this happened. I had a friend back then named Taylor. She was the kind of girl who made life feel unpredictable and small but exciting, always reckless, bold, and always looking for something new. I admired her, even when she pushed me further than I wanted to go. And one random night in July, she suggested we go stargazing. It wasn't the first time we had done that. In fact, it was a favorite of ours. 2 bikes, 1 blanket, and a bottle of cheap wine we weren't supposed to have. We'd done it plenty of times before, but the night I'm about to tell you about was the last time. We didn't have a particular destination in mind. Taylor said she knew a place, an abandoned stretch of farmland beyond the edge of town, where no one would bother us. It sounded perfect. By the time we left, it was close to 10 p.m. I don't know exactly how long we biked, maybe 20 minutes, maybe 30, but eventually she stopped suddenly in the middle of nowhere and declared we had arrived. At first, I didn't get it. There were no landmarks, no fences, no barns, nothing to indicate this place was any different from any of the other fields we had passed. But that was exactly what made it perfect. A wide open stretch of grass beneath an endless sky, far from houses, cars, or people. It felt like a hidden world, a private stage for us alone. We spread out the blanket, popped the cork from the bottle with the opener Taylor had somehow remembered to bring, and took turns sipping the bitter red liquid. It tasted awful, but that wasn't the point. We lay back, passing the bottle, pointing out the constellations we half remembered from science class, laughing at our wrong guesses. The night had that rare feeling of being outside time, as though nothing existed but the 2 of us and the stars above. At one point, Taylor turned to me in a way that made me wonder if she wanted more than friendship. It wasn't the first time I'd thought it. Growing up, I had always suspected she might feel that way, but we never talked about things like that, not in our small town. That night though, the look felt stronger, more deliberate. For a moment, the air seemed heavier, charged. Maybe it was the wine, or maybe it was just me imagining things. I didn't say anything. The moment passed. Instead, we laughed at something stupid, and right then, a shooting star streaked across the sky. If you've ever seen one, you know the way it makes you shout without meaning to, the way you feel a sudden rush of giddy amazement. We both giggled like kids, and she told me to make a wish. I can't remember what I wished for. It was probably something trivial, but the moment felt special. We lay there a little longer, and I closed my eyes for maybe 5 seconds, just to feel the warm breeze on my face. But when I opened them again, Taylor was gone. At first, I thought she was joking, playing one of her reckless little pranks, but her bike was gone too. The field around me was completely empty, except for my own bike sitting nearby. I sat up fast, spun around, and called her name. No answer. That's when the fear hit me, a cold, inexplicable dread that seemed to squeeze the air from my lungs. The field, which had felt so welcoming a few minutes earlier, now felt hostile, suffocating. The stars above looked wrong demure, as though someone had smeared the sky with a greasy hand. And the air was colder, unnaturally so, like I had stepped into a different version of the same place. I pulled out my phone to check the time. It was 3 a.m. exactly. I can't describe the terror that number brought me. Just minutes earlier, it had been before midnight. I knew I hadn't fallen asleep, would have sworn it on my life. But somehow 3 hours had vanished, and so had Taylor. I spun in circles, shouted her name again and again, but there was no trace of her. My calls went straight to voicemail. My mind scrambled for explanations. Maybe she had ditched me. Maybe she'd gotten annoyed, but none of it made sense. We hadn't fought. We had been laughing, drinking, watching the sky. Why would she leave? I finally grabbed my bike and pedaled home as fast as I could, heart pounding the whole way. The ride back felt endless, every shadow like it was watching me. By the time I reached my driveway, I was drenched in sweat, breathless, and utterly shaken. The next morning, I texted her, expecting an explanation. But instead of apologizing, she demanded one from me. Her words still sent a chill down my spine. "Where the hell did you go last night?" I told her what I remembered, how I had opened my eyes to find her gone, how I thought she had ditched me, but she cut me off. According to her, I was the one who disappeared. She said she had woken up alone at 3 a.m, that my bike was gone, and that she had waited for over an hour before finally biking home. Furious and confused, she swore I had vanished, just gone. We argued for days, going in circles. She was as convinced of her version as I was of mine. Neither of us had memory gaps beyond that moment. Both of us remembered trying to call the other, but when we checked our phone logs, there were no missed calls, no records of those attempts. It was like the night had been rewritten, and both of us had been erased from each other's version of it. Eventually, we stopped talking about it, but I don't think either of us ever forgot. For months, I'd lie awake staring out my window at the stars, wondering what happened that night, wondering if some piece of me had been taken, or if we had both slipped into something we were never meant to see. Taylor and I drifted apart not long after. We went stargazing once or twice again, but it was never the same. The comfort was gone. The sky no longer felt safe. To this day, I have no explanation. I'm not the type to believe in the paranormal, but every time I tell a story, people immediately jump to that conclusion. Maybe they're right. Maybe something unnatural happened in that field. Or maybe Taylor lied. Maybe I imagined things. But deep down, I know that's not true. The dread I felt that night was too real, too heavy. It's been years since I last saw her, but I would bet anything that she still wonders about it too. Because you don't just forget something like that. You can't. Even now, whenever I look up at the stars on a summer night, I feel it, the memory of that impossible stretch of missing time. The chill in the warm air, and the certainty that for a few hours on that July night, Taylor and I slipped into a place where neither of us belonged, and neither of us came back quite the same.